After the college entrance examination, my niece's diary titled "The Pain of Living Under Another's Roof" went viral. My niece came to live with me when she just started her senior year of high school, fearing she might feel uncomfortable. I occasionally asked her to do some household chores within her capabilities. After the college entrance examination, she and my daughter were both admitted to Stanford University. TV stations rushed to my home for reports, asking me how I had raised to top students. Just as I was happily sharing my experiences, my niece took out a diary. The content was "The Pain of Living Under Another's Roof." My niece became an instant hit, while I was viciously cyberbullied and sexted by enraged netizens. "Auntie, clearly my parents transferred you living expenses every month. Why did I have to live in your house like a mouse, being so cautious? All this is what you deserve." Due to the location my niece accidentally revealed, I was pushed into the river and drowned by the so-called righteous netizens. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn back to the time when my husband's younger brother just sent my niece to our home. The pain of living under another's roof. This time, you'll experience what it truly means to live under another's roof by yourself. Sister-in-law, I'm really sorry to trouble you anyway. Iris and your Clara are in the same grade. Taking care of one child is the same as taking care of two. I'll transfer the living expenses to your bank card on time every month. Please be understanding. Looking at the familiar WeChat message sent by my husband's younger brother on my phone and the $300 arrival notice on my bank card, I finally confirmed that I had been reborn. Looking at this $300, I couldn't help but laugh. Her family really knew how to calculate. Because my daughter was in her senior year of high school and I was a writer with a high degree of freedom, I rented a house near the school to accompany my daughter for day school. When my husband's younger brother and sister-in-law learned about it, they sent my niece to me on the pretext of going far away to work. Then they said they would give me $300 per month as the child's living expenses, although I clearly knew that $300 wasn't even enough for the child's meals, let alone the many extra expenses for an adolescent girl. But after all, I had watched her grow up from a little girl. How could I really refuse? Just like that, my niece Iris moved into my home. Fearing the little girl might think too much, I told her that her parents transferred me living expenses every month. But I didn't tell her the specific amount and told her to treat this place as her own home. Moreover, whatever my daughter had, I would buy one for her as well, stationery item or a pen to pocket money and tutoring classes. I never treated her poorly just because she wasn't my biological daughter. At first, when she offered to do housework, I would refuse, but later, fearing that she might feel useless and hurt her self-esteem, I agreed to let her do some time saving and within her capabilities household chores. Finally, both of them were admitted to Stanford, and I was very gratified. I thought all my efforts in taking care of the two children were worth it, but I never expected that it was all my wishful thinking from beginning to end. In the end, I raised an ungrateful person thinking about being cyberbullied and dying a tragic death in my previous life. This time I won't be soft-hearted towards her anymore. What did my dad say to you? Iris stretched her neck and leaned towards me, trying hard to see the chat content between me and her dad in my previous life. In order to prevent the child from knowing that her heartless parents only gave $300 and then left her with me, I quickly closed my phone and didn't let her see the message. But she thought I didn't want her to know how much money her parents gave me, thinking that I wanted to embezzle the money for myself and my daughter. After the college entrance examination, when the two families completely fell out, I learned from my daughter that my niece often called her parents to cry about how badly she was living here. Her parents were also very angry and scolded me on the phone, saying that they had given me living expenses, but I was still so harsh to their daughter. But they never told my niece that the so-called living expenses were actually only $300. After scolding me, they told my niece that it was like this when living in someone else's house and asked her to endure it until the college entrance examination was over. Thinking of this time I directly handed the phone to her, letting her see what kind of people her parents were. Your parents said you would live with me, but they only gave $300, which isn't even enough for your rent. $300 wasn't enough for her rent because it was a school district house near a key high school. It cost about 3,000 yuan a month if calculated per person. It should be at least 1,000 yuan a month, but she had lived here for 3 years for free without knowing it. And in the end, she didn't show any gratitude. Then, I started to sigh. This school district house is so expensive it costs 3,000 yuan a month. I really don't know what your parents are thinking. $300 isn't even enough for your meals. As expected, being a young girl, her face turned red immediately upon hearing this. Auntie, I don't eat much. My daughter also secretly tugged at my sleeve from behind, indicating that this might not be very nice. I patted my daughter's hand, turned around, and continued to say to my niece, "Anyway, I'm your aunt. I won't ask you for the rent. You can have meals with us every month. Eat whatever we eat, but don't expect anything else." "I understand, Auntie." Looking at my niece lowering her head, looking pitiful, to be honest, I felt a little soft-hearted again. But wasn't I deceived by her appearance like this in my previous life? Clearly, academic qualifications don't equal character even if she was admitted to the best university in the end. She couldn't change her inherent bad qualities after the school started. Soon came the first thing I did in my previous life that made me a big sucker, whether in my previous life or this life. I still can't figure it out. As parents, how could they not even pay their child's tuition fees? Do they really expect others to raise their child? In my previous life, I paid my daughter's tuition fee on my phone. I didn't even know that my niece hadn't paid her tuition fee at all. It wasn't until my niece's homeroom teacher called me to the school that I found out. Yes, my younger brother and sister-in-law directly filled in my information in the section of the child's parent information. When I rushed to the school, I saw my niece standing in the office with her head down. Clearly, it was her parents' problem, but she looked like she had committed a serious mistake, and my heart ached for her. I quickly paid her tuition fee and then told her to go back to the classroom and have a good class. "Auntie, why didn't my sister's homeroom teacher call you here?" Looking at my niece's pitiful appearance. Could I really say, "Of course I paid my daughter's tuition fee long ago"? Who knew your parents simply didn't care about you, fearing that the child would hate her parents in the future? I could only suppress my anger towards my younger brother and sister-in-law and patiently explain, "It's all my fault, dear. I paid Clara's tuition fee a long time ago. Your parents transferred the tuition fee to me just yesterday. I was so busy with your school start that I forgot about it." And in the diary she made public later, there was such a passage. My parents clearly transferred my tuition fee and living expenses to my aunt long ago. But my aunt refused to pay my tuition fee. It was not until the teacher asked the parent to come to school in front of the whole class that she reluctantly paid the tuition fee that should have been paid before the school started, and this small episode turned into a scar that I couldn't forget during my senior year of high school. After hanging up the phone of my niece's homeroom teacher for the second time, the missed call display popped up on my phone again. Finally, I helplessly picked up the phone. "Hello, is this Iris's parent? What's wrong?" "Well, there's something we need you to come to school for." "I see." Although I still had to go to their school inevitably, I wasn't as flustered this time. First, I tidied myself up properly, then I went to a cake shop outside, bought a strawberry cake that my daughter liked, and also ordered a cup of milk tea. High school study is stressful, and having some favorite desserts can relieve stress, but in my previous life, because I had to raise 2 children, and I had to buy 2 of everything, along with various tutoring fees and rent, my husband and I were under a lot of financial pressure. So I rarely bought these non-essential snacks for the children, but this time, I wouldn't treat my niece the same way. There was no need to save a little money on snacks for the children. After taking my time to finish all these, it was already an hour and a half later when I arrived at my niece's homeroom teacher's office. As soon as I stepped into the office, both my niece and the teacher's eyes turned towards me. I casually put the things in my hands on the shelf beside me and then walked over. "Sorry, teacher, I'm a bit late." "What's the matter?" Maybe because I came too slowly and the teacher had been waiting impatiently. Although she still maintained her politeness on the surface, her tone was really not very good. "Well, Iris's parent, classes have officially started today, but we haven't received the child's tuition fee yet. Do you think you were too busy with work and forgot to pay it for the child?" "Ah." I covered my mouth with my hands, pretending to be very surprised. And my exclamation also made the other teachers in the office turn their heads to look at us. "Iris hasn't paid the tuition fee yet." "Yes, Iris's parent. This is not good for the school or the child." "Teacher, I really don't know about this. Her parents sent her to my doorstep and then went to work in another city. They only gave me $300 as the child's living expenses and didn't transfer any other money to me. I really have no idea. And by the way, teacher, I'm not Iris's parent. I'm just her aunt. My daughter studies in class 1 here. This school divides classes according to the high school entrance examination results. My daughter, whom I've raised since she was a child, was among the top 10 in the city in the high school entrance examination. So she naturally entered class 1 to study, and her grades have been consistently good. And she hasn't dropped out of class 1 until senior year, although Iris is not that bad and studies in class 5. Her grades are not really outstanding. In my previous life, in order to improve her grades and seeing her gradually rise from class 5 to class 1 in exams, I really put in a lot of effort. I often asked my daughter to spare her study time to explain problems to her, and when the teacher heard that I was just a relative, not the parent, and that my own child was studying in class 1 of their school, her tone softened a lot immediately. Is that so? I saw that the contact information filled in for the child's parent was yours, so I naturally called you. Okay, teacher. I'll call her parents now. As soon as I took out my phone, Iris suddenly tugged at my sleeve. Auntie, didn't my parents transfer my tuition fee to you? What nonsense are you talking about? Child. Didn't you see the chat record between me and your dad yesterday? They only transferred $300 to me. It's not even enough for meals. How could there be money for tuition? Maybe the gazes of the teachers around and the occasional 1 or 2 students who came in were too intense. My niece's whole face turned bright red. Could you pay it for me first? I'll ask my parents to give it back to you when we get home. Iris, what are you saying? The tuition fee for this year is $12. 0. I just paid your cousin's tuition fee and also paid the rent and utility bills. The rent alone is $36,000 a year. I don't have a single cent left on me now. I only have the $300 that your parents transferred yesterday. How about I give this $300 to the teacher first? The teacher saw what was going on and pushed her glasses, saying to me, why don't you give her parents a call? Okay, teacher. That's exactly what I'm going to do. After saying that, I pulled away my niece's hand that was tugging at me and made a call to my husband's younger brother, and also turned on the speakerphone. Hello, sister-in-law, brother, were you too busy and forgot to pay Iris's tuition fee? Sister-in-law, isn't Iris living with you now? Hearing this, I really wanted to peel off the other person's face to see how thick-skinned they were. Yes, you sent the child to me without a word. As the aunt, didn't even ask for rent and utility bills. What can $300 a month buy for the child? Let's not talk about that. How could you forget such an important thing as paying the tuition fee? Now I'm in the teacher's office. You talk to the teacher yourself. The other side clearly didn't expect me to directly expose them and bring up the $300. The teacher had said hello, parent several times before he reacted. Oh, hello, teacher. Well, the thing is, my wife and I are in another city now. We be handed over the child's affairs to her aunt. How about? Hearing this, I couldn't help but interrupt. Brother, although the child isn't my biological one, I've watched her grow up after all. I also want to pay the tuition fee for her. But I just paid Clara's tuition fee, along with rent and utility bills. All of a sudden, more than 50. Dear Yuan is gone. I really don't have any money left. If you can't come up with it either, maybe consider borrowing from other relatives. And the teacher was also very serious. Parent, according to the school regulations, if the tuition fee isn't paid, the child may need to go home and study by herself for a while until the tuition fee is collected. And then come back to school. Got it. I'll transfer the tuition fee to her right away. Teacher, let Iris answer the phone. Iris shakily took the phone from the teacher's hand and called out timidly, Dad. You useless girl, all you do is waste my money. I don't know how much I've spent on you since you were a kid. I'm telling you. You must get into a good university in the college entrance examination, or you'll be sorry to me and your mom. After scolding, he hung up the phone directly. After receiving the tuition fee transferred by my younger brother, I transferred it to the teacher without a second's delay. As soon as we left the office door, Iris couldn't hold back her tears and started crying. Auntie, Know my parents caused you a lot of trouble by sending me to live with you. But please don't treat me like this. Can you be the kind auntie you used to be? Looking at her like this, I sighed. Iris. It's not that your aunt wants to be like this, you've seen it yourself. Your parents didn't give me any money. And our family doesn't have much money either. When you were a kid and came to my house, didn't I buy 2 of everything, 1 for each of you sisters? And the gold piece lock you're wearing around your neck was bought for you by your aunt when you were born. If I had money, why wouldn't I spend it on you, right? If you want to blame someone, you can only blame your parents for not taking care of you, alas. Forget it. You go to class first. After a round of PUA, I sent her to class this time. I won't give unconditionally like I did in my previous life. I have to let her know how good I was to her before. It was her parents' negligence that led to such embarrassing things happening to her, saving $12.00. I was in a rather good mood and went to class 1 to find my daughter. Clara, I bought you some snacks. Here's also 100 yuan of pocket money when you're on your way back from school. Just buy whatever you want if you see something you like. What about cousin? Don't worry about your cousin. I thought my daughter would refute me when she heard this, but my daughter said, Mom, actually, I don't really like cousin. Huh? Before, cousin always liked to ask me to cover for her and lie, and she would take my things without my permission also. She would secretly take money from her parents. I stroked my daughter's head, indicating that she shouldn't take it to heart, but I thought my niece's ungrateful behavior was because she lived in someone else's house during her senior year of high school and didn't know the real situation. I never expected that she was actually not a good person at heart. In the evening, after the 2 of them came home and finished dinner, my niece offered to do the dishes. I lazily glanced at her and then looked at the surveillance camera I installed in case something went wrong. No need, your aunt will do it. Auntie, I really want to help with the housework, please let me do it, otherwise I won't feel at ease living in your house. I nodded reluctantly. Well, you're a determined kid. All right, go ahead. After you finish, go study hard. Don't fall behind in your studies. After giving these instructions, I took my daughter to contact a one-on-one tutor. At that time, I chose day school for the kids in their senior year, partly to make their lives more comfortable, and partly because day school students don't have to attend evening self-study, so they can find a tutor for extra lessons. However, in my previous life, considering the great pressure on both kids, I signed them up for a small group class. This time, I definitely won't spend my own money to send my niece to extra classes. Saving the money for one extra class fee means I can hire a one-on-one tutor for my daughter. Studying in a more targeted way will be easier. When we got home, upon hearing the sound, my niece quickly ran out of her room. Where did you and sister go? Oh, I sent Clara to a tutoring class. Iris lowered her head a bit, disappointed. Lie. A tutoring class? I thought your family really didn't have any money. I frowned. Why didn't I notice she was so scheming before? I knew she was insinuating that if I had money, why didn't I pay for her during the day, and why I only sent my daughter to the tutoring class and didn't care about her at all. Iris, this tutoring class was booked during the summer vacation before you came. The money was paid in advance. Do you want to go too? Can I, Auntie? Looking at her, looking at me with bright eyes, I knew exactly what she was up to, but I pretended not to understand. Me? What does my opinion matter? The key is your parents' consent. Take my phone and call your parents to talk about it, then I'll send your parents the WeChat of the tutoring class teacher. After they pay the money, you can go directly to the class. No need. Auntie, actually, doing homework takes up a lot of time every day. I don't need tutoring. I can just ask sister what was taught in class later. It's senior year. Clara is very tired from going to school during the day and having tutoring at night. Don't ask her to explain to you. You can ask the teacher or classmates the next day. Yes. Then I'll go back to study first. If I hadn't seen her unwilling eyes and clenched fists, I would really have thought she was as harmless as she appeared. Sigh. After all, she's just a kid. If you behave yourself and get through your senior year of high school, I won't bother to haggle with your family over food, clothing, and daily expenses, but don't expect me to spend an extra penny on anything else for her after that. A period of peaceful time passed until the weekend. My husband came back from work and secretly pulled me into the room. Did you mistreat Iris? What? Look at the message my younger brother and sister-in-law sent me. I frowned and took the phone. It was roughly saying that they sent the child to our home because we were her close relatives. If we didn't like the child, we shouldn't have agreed to let her stay, but since we did, we shouldn't treat the two children so differently. I was so angry that I laughed. What do they mean by if we didn't like the child, we shouldn't have agreed? Did I really agree? One morning, I heard a knock on the door. When I got up, when I opened it, there was your precious niece standing at the door with a suitcase. They took such a fait accompli approach, and now they're turning things around and blaming me. Also, your good-for-nothing brother only transferred me $300, but expected me to pay $12.00 for his child's tuition. What? Do they think we're easy to be taken advantage of, fools? Oh, honey, don't say such harsh words. Iris is the child you've watched grow up, isn't she? Don't talk to me like that. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have agreed to let her move in at all. Besides, if you feel sorry for her, well, she wants to take tutoring classes. You pay for her tutoring fee. I don't have that money. You're in charge of the family finances. Well, there you go. Do you really think you earn a lot of money every month? I've paid for the rent, utility bills, and Clara's tuition and tutoring fees. Altogether, it's $87,000. Her own parents are reluctant to spend money on her. And I don't have any extra money for her either. My husband apparently didn't expect that day school for the kids would cost so much. Fortunately, I've never told him that I can earn quite a bit from writing novels every month. Otherwise, with just his meager fixed salary, trying to raise two children in the best school in the city would be nothing but a dream. All right, we've already done more than enough by providing her with food and accommodation. The rest is her parents' responsibility. Let us not think about it too much. After saying this, I was about to go out to wash up when I happened to see my niece suddenly closing the door. Presumably, she had heard those words. But I didn't say anything wrong, so if she heard them, so be it. After the midterm exams, my daughter actually improved from 23rd in the grade to 9th. Looking at the report card, I was overjoyed. This was the first time my daughter had entered the top 10 in the grade. As everyone knows, the higher the ranking, the more difficult it is to improve. All the efforts I put into hiring a one-on-one tutor for her were really worth it. As for my niece, without tutoring and without my daughter explaining things to her, and perhaps because of what happened at the beginning of the school year, I heard that she didn't like to communicate with teachers and classmates either. Her grades dropped from over 200 to over 400. Just then, my husband's younger brother called. TSK. What an attitude. I hung up the phone directly after a while. He called again, and I picked it up casually. Sister-in-law, why did you hang up on me just now? I didn't hear any form of address, so I thought it was a stranger. What's the matter? Why did my daughter's grades drop so much? Brother, you should probably ask your daughter about that. Maybe she just didn't put her heart into studying. How come? After half a semester, everyone else is making progress while she isn't. Sister-in-law, I'm being so polite to you only because you're my brother's wife. Hearing this, I hung up the phone again. Seeing that he called 3 more times in a row, I finally answered. If you don't talk properly, I won't answer anymore. I just want to say that my child was always around 200th in the grade in the first and second years of high school. How come? After living with you for half a semester, her grades dropped so much? You should be responsible for this. First of all, the learning difficulty in senior year of high school increases sharply, so it's normal for grades to drop. Secondly, if you think it's because she's living with us, let the child go back and live in the school dormitory. Actually, I kind of hoped she would go back to live in the dormitory. That way, I could relax a lot, but I was sure my younger brother wouldn't agree. Apart from having to pay the accommodation fee, he also had to give the child $500 in living expenses every month. How could he bear to do that? Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? I heard that Clara's grades have always been pretty good. They're sisters usually. Let Clara help her sister more also. I heard that Clara is taking one-on-one tutoring. The teacher can teach one student as well. As to how can you treat the two children so differently? Brother, I heard that Clara is taking Lee. It's not that I don't want to. The price for one-on-one tutoring and one-on tutoring is different. Do you think the teacher will teach one more child for free? If you want Iris to study with her, I'll push the teacher's WeChat to you. You talk to her yourself. It eats you only about over $10,000. You two are both working and earning money outside. You surely can't be reluctant to spend this little money on your child's tutoring, right? Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. I think you're just money-minded. This time, before I could hang up, he hung up first. I wonder who my husband's younger brother heard this from. It's really hard to guess. It seems that Iris has been telling tales in front of her parents quite often. The next day, after breakfast, Iris stood up and bowed. I've been doing the dishes for the past half semester, but as you can see, my grades have dropped unlike my sister. I don't have one-on-one tutoring, so I want to spend more time on my studies. I won't do housework anymore in the future. I narrowed my eyes. That's great, Iris. I refused you before and told you not to do housework, but you insisted. Now it's really good that you can take the initiative to focus more on your studies instead of doing housework. After both of them went to school, I took out my phone and started looking through the Shioganshu content that I accidentally found she was updating a few days ago in my previous life memory. Although my niece became a blogger later with the popularity, it was because of that diary after the college entrance examination. But in this life, when I was browsing the local posts, I came across a blogger documenting the pain of living under another's roof. At first, I wasn't sure it was her, but after looking through a few posts, I was certain it was her. For example, in her record of the first day of school, my sister and I went to school on the same day. My aunt only remembered to pay my sister's tuition fee and didn't pay mine. It was not until the teacher called her to the office that she reluctantly paid it for me. Under this post, there were all kinds of scolding comments about me. But there were also one or two rational people asking, is it because your parents didn't give the money to your aunt, or did they give it but she still didn't pay? And she only gave a vague answer. I saw my dad transfer money to her the day before. To this, I could only sneer. On the 7th day of school, Auntie buys my sister small cakes, milk tea, etc. every day. I wish I weren't living with my aunt. Then I could also eat the small cakes my mom bought. In fact, Auntie doesn't have to secretly put them in my sister's room. She can eat them openly. I wouldn't have any thoughts about it again. It was all scolding comments. She shouldn't be so stingy as to not even give the child some snacks. What? Such blatant discrimination. I thought they said they gave living expenses. I beg you to return the money to your sister. She can live on her own. Damn it, with such a small-minded person, I hope your children will be treated the same way in the future. But there were still one or two different voices. Come on, it's her own money. She can buy things for her own child if she wants. You talk big, then why don't you go back to your own home? You're clearly looking for trouble here, and you say you wouldn't have any thoughts. Then what's the point of posting this? Isn't it just to incite everyone to cyberbully your aunt? I support the above. It's really hard to be a relative these days. If you give enough money, I believe relatives wouldn't treat you like this for the sake of money. If you don't give enough money, do you expect others to subsidize you? Besides, when living in someone else's house, apart from living expenses, did you pay rent or anything? Don't just freeload and complain here for no reason. I silently gave these two people a thumbs up and continued reading. On the 30th day of school, I really envy my sister for not having to do housework and being able to have one-on-one tutoring. I didn't even bother to open the comment section, but a popular comment still caught my eye. Got sister, after reading your records for so long, it's clear that your aunt is abusing you. You must resist. Start by refusing to do housework. It's best to tell your parents not to let you live with your aunt anymore. It would be better for you to live in the school with your living expenses. That's right. Support sister in resisting if you're so-called and still forces you. Expose her information, address, etc. We'll back you up. Seeing this, I couldn't help but frown. After all, in my previous life, I was killed by these netizens who didn't know the truth. It seems I have to pay close attention in advance if she really exposes my real information. Don't blame me. First, I went to her room and found the mobile phone she had, although I knew it was not a good thing to do, to prevent her from causing any trouble before my daughter's college entrance examination. I had to intervene slightly. After finding it, I took a photo and sent it to her parents and homeroom teacher. Let them handle the rest. Unexpectedly, when she came back for lunch, Iris didn't even pretend in front of us. For the first time, she threw her school bag on the ground. How dare you enter my room? And you even reported me to the teacher. The teacher asked me to take the phone to school this afternoon and said she would return it to me after the college entrance examination. I gave a cold look at the school bag she threw on the ground. First of all, this is my house, the house I rented. I can go wherever I want. Secondly, I went in just to clean up and accidentally found that you were hiding a smartphone as an elder, seeing your grades decline. I surely couldn't let you continue down the wrong path, so I told your parents and teacher, but what to do was up to their decision. I was doing it for your own good. Then I directly stepped over her school bag and called my daughter to come and have lunch. She was silent for a while, then picked up the school bag herself and went back to her room. I didn't call her out for lunch either. After my daughter and I finished eating, I sent my daughter to take a nap, and I washed the dishes and did the cleaning. However, after thinking about it, I still took out a box of biscuits that I originally planned to give to my daughter as snacks at school and hung it on her, or whether she eats it or not is her business anyway. I think I fulfilled my duties as an aunt. Time passed quickly before I knew it. It was time for the children's college entrance examination. To be honest, I was quite shocked after that day. She didn't cause any trouble at all. Our communication with her was probably only during meals when the college entrance examination results came out. As expected, my daughter was admitted to Stanford again. However, in the previous life, she just managed to get in with a narrow margin and only got into a not-so-good major, but this time, she entered as the first in the city and the second in the province. She could choose any major in the school. As for my niece, without the tutoring classes I paid for out of my own pocket and my daughter's guidance this time, and spending too much time on things other than study every day, her grades dropped significantly this time. She only got into an ordinary second-tier college. Although there weren't a Stanford students, the second-place ranking in the province still held a lot of weight. Countless reporters still flocked to my home just as I was sharing my experience of raising children. My niece, my younger brother, and sister-in-law burst in. Elena, I call you sister-in-law out of respect, but look what you've done. You've been abusing our daughter for a whole year, which made her only get into a second-tier college. You have to be responsible. The reporters didn't know what was going on and just kept raising their cameras to film. Me? Abuse her? Yes, this diary and this account are the evidence. My sister-in-law also chimed in. That's right. Originally, our daughter could have gotten into Tsinghua Teaching University, but because you abused her, made her do housework, embarrassed her at school, and refused to let the teacher teach her, she only got into a second-tier college. You must take full responsibility. How do you want me to be responsible? Of course, you should accompany our daughter to repeat the senior year of high school. And you have to pay for all the tuition, living expenses, and tutoring fees for this year until she gets into Stanford. I was really enraged by this family. Then my younger brother and sister-in-law signaled my niece to show and read out the content in the diary. I saw the reporters whispering among themselves. Then a reporter directly put the camera and microphone in front of me. The diary written by this young lady about the pain of living under another's roof is so heartfelt. They are both children. Even if she's not your biological child, don't you feel guilty for treating your niece like this? In the previous life, because everything happened so suddenly, I was completely stunned, so I missed the best opportunity to explain later. When I wanted to explain, no one would believe me, but this time I directly showed the videos where she took the initiative to do housework at home and I refused several times. As well as the video where I immediately agreed when she said she wouldn't do it later. There were also videos of every bit of her daily life at home, all showing that I treated the two children equally in daily life. Then I took out the transfer records, showing that her parents only transferred $300 to me every month. I also listed all kinds of living expenses for the two children, rent, utility bills, etc. And there were records that they basically didn't care about the child at ordinary times. And it was me who communicated with the teacher. The family of my younger brother clearly didn't expect this result. Finally, the video was broadcast live across the whole network. Everyone was scolding my younger brother's family as bloodsuckers. They not only freeloaded and let others raise their child but also turned things around and blamed others. My niece's account was also dug up by everyone, and they scolded her one post after another. After hearing about these things, The relatives all blamed my younger brother's family for their despicable behavior, so my younger brother and sister-in-law soon went to work in another city to avoid the scolding. As for my niece, she had a mental breakdown due to the cyberbullying. She was always mumbling things like, "It's not like this. I should have gone to Stanford with my sister. It's different at S, not me at S, someone else who's different. Yes, if my aunt dies, everything can go back to the way it was before." She would always say such crazy things outside. After hearing this, I became a bit more vigilant later, when I was passing by the river where I died in the previous life. My niece rushed out from nowhere and pushed me. Unfortunately, because I couldn't get over the drowning incident in the previous life, I had already learned to swim when the children were at school. Finally, I swam back to the shore and my niece was sent to a mental hospital because of attempted murder, but with mental problems.